Oh, we're back.
Two guys on a bench.
Two guys on a bench with a camera that works because it's mine. Sorry.
You know, you do what you can.
Do what you can. All right. Episode 5, I think, after 17 takes last time. I'm not really
It was
sure.
only 4?
I was like
5?
Maybe 5.
Maybe 7.
6.
Okay.
So
Round numbers.
Yeah, that's right. So we wanted to quickly cover like a couple of misconceptions or pieces of bad advice that we hear a lot in our respective fields. I'm gonna let you go first.
What, are we respected?
I hope. I don't know.
Oh, respective. Okay.
Yeah, respective. That's right. Top 2 things that maybe bother you that you hear about, whether that's Olympic weightlifting or BJJ or kind of all your little specialties. What's the deal?
The main thing I've been running into, and this is much more of a strength and conditioning, exercise physiology standpoint, is that a lot of the people I'm working with are very good at their sport. And trying to convince them that they need to do things that are not their sport in order to get better at their sport is...
Yeah, absolutely.
So I've been working with a bunch of weightlifters, runners in particularly, although I feel like it's coming around on the running side.
We're getting better.
And Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu guys is like, you have to be on a good exercise, strength conditioning program to support your sporting habit. Because if you just do your sport, you can adapt in a very specific way, which eventually can pigeonhole you.
Right.
And I guess what I'm trying to say is eventually you will not be able to vary your movements efficiently.
Yeah.
So if you're not locked into that one specific thing, then you're not going to be able to do it. So that little pause there was because we thought we had another hiccup, but I think we're still rolling.
Oh, we're rolling, baby.
So that would probably be the number one thing I see, is trying to convince someone who does Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, hey, maybe you should do some deadlifting, squatting, do something where you have to use some hip extension, because unless you're, in side control, then you're not going to get that leg all the way behind you. So you can be missing some range of motion, which then make you easier to tap.
Absolutely. Nobody likes getting tapped. I know from experience.
Thumb lock?
No. Oh, yeah. Yeah, actually, thumb lock. Thumb lock it was. That was perceived, but that's actually true. I want no part of that. What? Anything else? Anything else that really bugs you? Is that the main one?
The other one that is a little bit more insidious, it's less said out loud, is that you have to rest to get better.
Right, yeah.
That would probably be my other biggest one. That's more just general exercise.
Yeah.
You really have, I think, 2 camps of people. People that are like, it hurts, I'll be fine. And people like, it hurts, I'm not going to do anything.
I'll do nothing ever.
I will do nothing ever again.
I'm going to die.
So you don't have to rest to get better. Everyone sits on a spectrum. So the people who are like, it hurts, I'll be fine. And like one person will have like their arm split in half and they'll be like, I'll keep going, give me some ice, I'll be fine. And you have someone that gets a splinter and they're like, end of the world.
Right, which is why individualization of everything is so important, because everybody's,
If there was a one-size-fits-all, they wouldn't need us.
Sure, 100%.
They wouldn't want us either.
Yeah, definitely.
So those would be my big 2 things, is you have to do a variety of things in order to be good at a specific sport, and you don't have to take time off in order to get better from, dare I say, most exercise-induced injuries.
Yeah. That's a good point.
What about you?
Yeah, so similar. Number 1 is the classic, my kid's kind of young, like late middle school or high school, and
I want him to be an MLB pitcher.
I want him to be an MLB pitcher, which is great, but I'm worried about him lifting weights. And my response is like,
it's going to make him short, right?
It's going to make him short, right? It's not
Stunts
1974, right. Which I understand. As a parent, everybody wants to take your money and take advantage of you, so you've got to find somebody you respect and get good info. So what I typically say is, well, when your kid, I say, does your kid sprint, like when he plays baseball? Oh, yeah, of course. I mean, lots of studies out there show that places a lot more stress on your kid's spine, these high-level things, and swinging a baseball bat as hard as possible or throwing a baseball compared to, doing a goblet squat. But in their head, they think, like, it's going to crush their spine. So, I always say, like, look, everything that I'm trying to do, actually, like you just said, is, hey, I don't like to do sport-specific stuff in the sense that I don't like to do anything that really looks like their sport because they already, throw and rotate a baseball bat, 1,000 times, and we'll do some specific, things here and there, but not a lot of sport-type stuff. I actually want to do things that get them stronger to bring them back towards the middle somewhere. Being super extended in your spine helps you be athletic. But if you're doing that with a ton of weight on your back, you're probably going to get a spondy or broken back or at least a sore back. So we want to do some things away from that. So that's I think the one big thing is being afraid of weightlifting when I actually say, well, your kid's playing baseball, year round, which is, good or bad, whatever. Hopefully they're playing another sport at least. But definitely we want to do something that's going to get them more experience and more movement in different planes than just playing baseball. So,
yep.
I think that's definitely the big one. And I don't know. I would probably say the second thing that gets a little under my skin is a lack sometimes of communication between everybody, which I know we've harped on a little bit, but sometimes it's just kind of this old age, like, hey, I want you to get bigger. All right, cool. So the kid's going to lift. And then, they have a bad week after lifting for 2 weeks. And it's like, well, apparently lifting's not making any better. It's like, well, nothing's making them any better in a couple of weeks unless you give them, a tip or some technical coaching. But give me a few months, and if we put on some weight and get them faster and stronger and all that, then we'll be in the ballpark. But instead of just saying like, hey, I'd like for so-and-so to be a little more powerful in the batter's box, or throw a little harder, okay, fine. It just becomes like, oh, what are you doing over there? And that's good or bad or whatever, versus just coming to each other and just saying like, hey, how can we get, I'd like to see him get here in his, pitching motion or hitting motion. How do we get there? How do I make it better? And, and I can certainly add to that versus just saying, oh, well, I want you to stop hitting for 6 weeks. Well, that doesn't look good either if somebody's hurt, Why can't you play?
If you stop anything for 6 weeks and then resume at your normal intensity.
Sure, you ain't going to be good.
You can roll those dice.
Sure.
I prefer not to roll those dice.
Certainly not going to perform well.
No.
Versus just saying like, oh, hey, his back's bogging a little bit. Cool. Looks like this. Change strength and conditioning program. Add to the warm-up. Maybe don't take this many hacks in BP. We feel good in 3 days and we're ready to perform on the weekend. So I think it's just everybody getting on the same page, and parents like that and kids like that. So we should do our part basically. But those are my top 2 things.
You actually reminded me of one of my minor pet peeves.
Ooh,
Not one of my top 2, but one of my minor pet peeves is when people discuss the implementation of strength and conditioning programs. Like, you have to be specific in your language. So strength is different than power, is different than eccentric control.
Right.
So I think a lot of people just kind of put it all in a pot and blend it together.
Right.
But usually when someone is speaking specifically, you're talking about power generation.
Right.
You need them to produce more force in a particular time.
Sure.
Which is the hallmark of really athletics.
Yeah, definitely.
Whereas just getting stronger, I tend to think just absolute force production.
Sure.
So that's one of my pet peeves, especially when you're taking continuing ed classes with other physios who maybe don't deal as much in the strength and conditioning world, and like, oh, well, we want to generate a lot of power here.
Sure.
And they're just like,
right, like that's going to cut it when you're snatching.
yes. Yes.
Right. No, completely. And look, it's a science. I mean, there's a reason that
Whoa, strength and conditioning is a science?
Oh, no, I made that up. It's
Okay.
It's
Whoa.
not a science.
Had me concerned there.
Just get in the gym and lift weights, bro. You get huge. So, yeah, I mean, it's a science to everything. And that's where I think, like, yeah, that's probably why parents are worried, and hopefully while we're here, it's, hey, lifting weights seems to be good. Major leaguers are doing it, and the good kids are doing it, or the big, strong kids are doing it, but it's not all created equal.
Thank you, Tiger Woods.
That's for sure. Thanks, Tiger.
Thank you, Tiger Woods.
That's my boy. Hey, he's coming back. December, back in action.
I'm really looking forward to about 20 to 30 years from now, to when the people who grew up where it's normal to lift weights and exercise have kids.
Oh, yeah.
And they're going to be yelling at your kids, you better go to the gym. Back in my day, we didn't have all these fancy bars. We had one bar.
That's right.
And it had knurling everywhere.
That's right. That's right.
So I can't wait for that to be like my old man story.
I never even had skin on my hands. Just tendons.
Just tendons. Calluses didn't exist because if you still had skin, you didn't grip hard enough.
Oh, man.
I can't wait to be an old crusty physio in another 30 years and have these kids coming in being like, I don't know what to do. My knee only hurts when I squat 400.
That's right.
And like that, if that's the worst problem I face, I'll be a very,
The
very
world is a better
happy,
place.
crusty old man.
Oh man, yeah. I don't want to know where I'm at. I'll definitely be bald. All right, I guess that's it for episode 5. Hope
Cool
that
beans.
answers some questions, as always.
Post comments, send us feedback, criticisms, concerns. If this goes on YouTube and gets popular, I know that we'll get made fun of, so I welcome it.
Oh, absolutely.
I already know half of what you're going to say. So.
Oh, absolutely. All right, cool. Look forward to it. See you guys next time. Peace.